What if I told you that once, a group of enslaved people fought for their freedom and won? They did not just break their chains, they created their very own country, led by black men and women. This is the true story of the Haitian Revolution. It is the only time in history that a people held in bondage rose up, defeated their powerful rulers, and built a new nation dedicated to liberty for all. Before it was called Haiti, it was a French colony named Saint-Domingue. It was the richest place of its kind in the world. It grew most of the sugar and coffee that people in Europe used every day. But this great wealth came from a terrible system called chattel slavery. Chattel slavery is a term that means people were treated like property. They could be bought and sold just like a house or a farm animal. Their lives were not their own. What if I told you that once, a group of enslaved people fought for their freedom and won? They did not just break their chains. They rose up to defeat the armies of the world's reigning superpowers, France, Spain, and Great Britain. They created their very own country, led by black men and women. This is the true story of the Haitian Revolution. It is the only time in history that a people held in bondage rose up, defeated their powerful rulers, and built a new nation dedicated to liberty for all. Before it was called Haiti, it was a French colony named Saint-Domingue. It was the richest place of its kind in the world. It grew most of the sugar and coffee that people in Europe used every day. But this great wealth came from a terrible system called chattel slavery. Chattel slavery is a term that means people were treated like property. They could be bought and sold just like a house or a farm animal. Their lives were not their own. The people in Saint-Domingue lived in a world that was like a shaky pyramid. At the very top were the rich white landowners who owned huge farms and hundreds of enslaved people. They had all the power. Below them were white people who were not as rich. And under them were the gens de couleur libre, which means free people of color. Some of them were also wealthy and owned land, but they were not treated as equals. At the very bottom of this pyramid was the largest group of all, nearly 500,000 enslaved people brought from Africa. They were the base that held everything up, and they had no rights, no freedom, and very little hope. But how could so many people, who came from different parts of Africa and spoke different languages, plan something as big as a revolution? They found a powerful connection in their shared spiritual beliefs, which we know as Vodou. Vodou was more than a religion. It was a source of strength, a way to remember their African homes, and a secret way to talk and plan. It brought people together and gave them the courage to fight for their freedom. In August of 1791, a secret meeting took place in a forest at a place called Bois Cayman. Led by a spiritual leader, people gathered under the stormy night sky. They made a solemn promise to one another. They would fight to be free, or they would die trying. That night, a spark was lit. The rebellion began with great fire, but it needed a guide to turn the flames into a focused light. The fight for freedom was strong, but it was scattered, like many small streams. To become a mighty river that could change the land, it needed a brilliant leader to bring all the streams together. That leader was a man named Toussaint Louverture. He had once been enslaved himself, but he had earned his freedom. He was a deep thinker who taught himself how to read and write, studying books about leaders and history. He saw the brave but separate groups fighting for their lives. Louverture knew that passion alone was not enough to win against powerful armies. He began to organize the fighters. He taught them discipline, like how a team learns to work together to win a game. He turned them from angry crowds into a true, skilled army. He showed them how to plan their moves, how to use the land to their advantage, and how to fight as one powerful force. Under his command, the Haitian army became something the world had never seen before. Imagine the surprise and fear in the capitals of Europe. An army made of people who were once treated as property was now defeating the world's strongest soldiers. Led by a general who was once enslaved, they were smarter, faster, and more determined than anyone expected. Louverture's army fought the Spanish army and won. They fought the British army and won. They took control of the entire island of Saint-Domingue, proving that the desire for freedom is the most powerful weapon of all. In the year 1801, Louverture did something that shook the world. He created a constitution. A constitution is a set of the most important rules for a country. This new constitution for Saint-Domingue had one rule that was bigger than all the others. It said that slavery was gone forever. No person could ever be owned by another person on that island again. This was a brave and amazing idea. At that time, many powerful countries still made a lot of money from the work of enslaved people. Far across the ocean, the leader of France, a powerful general named Napoleon Bonaparte, was filled with rage. He could not stand the idea of a free black nation run by a former slave. A place where slavery was against the law was a threat to his power. So, Napoleon sent a huge fleet of warships and soldiers to the island. It was the largest army ever to sail across the Atlantic Ocean. He told the world he was there to keep peace. But his real orders were a dark secret: destroy Toussaint Louverture and bring slavery back. The French leaders used a trick to capture Toussaint Louverture. They promised to talk about peace, but instead, they put him in chains. They sent him far across the ocean to a cold, dark prison high in the mountains of France, where he would die all alone. But Toussaint had planted a powerful idea that could not be locked in a prison. He told his people that by capturing him, their enemies had only cut down the trunk of the tree of liberty. He promised that the roots of that tree were deep and strong, and new branches would grow back, stronger than before. His brave general, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, heard this call. He and the other Haitian leaders picked up the fight. Inspired by Toussaint's sacrifice, the people fought with amazing courage. They drove the last of the French soldiers from their land forever. On the first day of 1804, they declared to the world that they were free, creating the proud, independent nation of Haiti. This victory sent a shockwave across the world. Powerful countries like the United States that depended on the work of enslaved people were terrified. They saw a nation created by formerly enslaved people who had won their own freedom, and it scared them. They worried that this brave example would inspire others to fight for their own freedom. To stop this idea from spreading, these powerful nations built a wall of silence around Haiti. It was like a whole country was being ignored by the rest of the world. They refused to trade with Haiti, or to even say it was a real country. They hoped that by leaving Haiti all alone, they could make it fail. Then, years later in 1825, France returned. They did not come to fight with soldiers, but with a different kind of weapon. French warships filled the harbor, and they gave Haiti a terrible choice: pay an impossible amount of money or be destroyed. France demanded this payment for the land and even the people that French enslavers had once called their property. It was a cruel and unfair demand. Haiti was forced to pay for its own freedom. This huge debt was like a heavy chain on the new nation, and it hurt Haiti's ability to grow for more than 100 years. The story of the Haitian Revolution is a powerful story of human spirit. It is about people who were denied everything, yet rose up to claim the highest ideals of liberty and dignity for themselves. Their fight was a bright light, showing that freedom is a right for every single person. Their victory changed the world forever. It proved that the desire for freedom is stronger than any army, and that the most oppressed people can change the course of history. The birth of Haiti was a promise of a new world, where everyone could be free. So we must ask, why is this incredible story so often left out of our history books? Learning about Haiti's courage helps us understand that true history includes stories of great struggle and even greater strength. It reminds us to look for the heroes whose names we were never taught and to celebrate their legacy. This simple act of kindness did more than fill empty stomachs. It built something powerful: trust. In neighborhoods where people felt forgotten, the Panthers showed up every day. They proved that the community could take care of itself and its own children. This was a big problem for the government. Think of it like a team. The government wanted to be the only captain, but the Panthers were showing everyone that the players could lead themselves. When a community takes care of its own needs, it becomes strong and independent. The government's fear led to actions that hurt the very people the program was trying to help. Police raids on Panther centers often happened early in the morning. They would scare the children and sometimes even ruin the food, stopping breakfast from being served. But you cannot stop an idea just by scaring people. The Black Panthers breakfast program planted a seed in the minds of people all across the country. It showed everyone a simple truth: hungry children cannot learn. This idea grew into something huge. Seeing the success of the Panthers program, the United States government began to look at its own food programs for children. They saw that there was a great need that was not being met. The Black Panthers had lit a fire. Their small community program put a spotlight on a national problem. They showed that it was possible to feed every child, and this pressured the government to act and do more for its youngest citizens. The result of this pressure is still with us today. The government greatly expanded its own school breakfast program. Now, millions of children in America get a healthy breakfast at school, helping them focus and succeed. This is a quiet, powerful legacy. It is not a story of a battle won with weapons, but a victory won with milk and cereal. It is a change that happens every single school day, in thousands of cafeterias, helping kids get a fair start. This teaches us a timeless lesson about power. The power to create change does not always come from loud speeches or big marches. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to see a need and fill it with kindness. The story of the free breakfast program is a call to all of us. It reminds us that caring for our neighbors, feeding the hungry, and protecting the young are not small things. They are the seeds from which a better world can grow.